إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه وخليله، أرسله الله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا. أما بعد، Inshallah ta'ala, tonight's talk will be centered around the sacredness and virtue of Ramadan. From the wisdom and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that He has not made everything the same. He has given everything and everyone in His creation their own unique exclusivity. Nothing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation is the same. And this is important so that as Muslims we begin to brace our uniqueness, that we are unique amongst the other religious faiths in the environment that we live in. Some of us will not stop until we feel like we can be the exact same as the other religions. They celebrate the birthday of Jesus, the birth of Jesus, and we celebrate the birth of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They supplicate to Allah through Jesus, and you have Muslims who supplicate to Allah through Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The society that we live in put pressure on the religious community to embrace ideologies and concepts that support political views and agendas, and the Muslims feel like we cannot be on par with the other religions until we do the same. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, لَتَتَّبِعُونَ سُنَنَ مَنْ كَانَ قَبْلَكُمْ شِبْرًا بِشِبْرٍ وَذِرَاعًا بِذِرَاعٍ حَتَّى إِذَا دَخَلُوا جُحْرَ ضَبٍّ لَدَّخَلْتُمُوهُ فقالوا يا رسول الله من هم اليهود والنصارى فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فمن هم. The Prophet ﷺ said that you will follow the nations that came before you, hand span by hand span, arm length by arm's length, that if one of them was to do something as absurd as to crawl into the hole of a lizard, you would follow them. Meaning my ummah, you would follow them. The Sahaba said, O Messenger of Allah, who are you referring to? The Jews and the Christians? He said, who else? Who else would I be referring to? And here we are today as a Muslim ummah, still feeling like we cannot be on par with the other world religions, other faiths and doctrines until we embrace every single thing that they embrace, even though it conflicts with the foundational tenets of our religion. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given everything in His creation its own uniqueness. Even amongst the prophets and messengers, they are not all on the same level. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَرَبُّكَ أَعْلَمُ بِمَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَلَقَدْ فَضَّلْنَا بَعْضَ النَّبِيِّينَ عَلَى بَعْضٍ وَآتَيْنَا دَاوُودَ زَبُورًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and your Lord knows best who is in the heavens and the earth. And indeed we have given certain prophets virtue over other prophets. We have favored certain prophets over other prophets. And we know at the height of them is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, وَآتَيْنَا دَاوُودَ زَبُورًا, and we have indeed given Dawood the Zabur. And this is in Surah Isra, Surah number 17, ayah 55. The Prophet ﷺ said, my example and the example of the prophets that came before is like a person who builds a house and one brick is missing out of that house. And so while people circumambulate that house, looking at the beauty and the splendor of the home, they said, how great is this house if only that brick had been put in there. He said, and I am that brick. So even amongst the prophets and messengers, they're not all on the same level. The angels, although the closest of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation, are not on the same level. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, لَن يَسْتَنْكِفَ الْمَسِيحُ أَن يَكُونَ عَبْدًا لِلَّهِ وَلَا الْمَلَائِكَةُ الْمُقَرَّبُونَ. He said that Isa, Jesus, does not take issue with being a servant to God. وَلَا الْمَلَائِكَةُ, nor the angels al-muqarrabun, who are closest to Allah. Imam al-Razi, he said about this ayah, وَلَا الْمَلَائِكَةُ الْمُقَرَّبُونَ يدل على أن طبقات الملائكة مختلفة في الدرجة والفضيلة، فأكابر منهم مثل جبريل وميكائيل وإسرافيل والحملة العرش. He said that the meaning of this ayah, where Allah says not even the angels who are closest to Him, it shows you that the angels are on tabaqat. They're on different levels. The angels are not all on the same level. They differ in terms of their status with Allah as well as their virtue. He said, and the greatest from amongst the angels are Jibreel, Mikael, Israfil, and those that carry the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَيَحْمِلُ عَرْشَ رَبِّكَ فَوْقَهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ ثَمَانِيَةٌ. There's 8 angels that will carry the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment, and they are called Hamalatul Arsh. And they are from the closest of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's angels. And if you notice, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in one of the ad'iyah, al-istiftah, the dua that we make before we begin our prayer, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam began one of those dua, Allahumma Rabbi Jibreel, Rabb Jibreel wa Mikael wa Israfil, Fatir as-samawati wal ard, to the end of the dua. He said, O Allah, my Lord, the Lord of Jibreel wa Mikael and Israfil, Fatir as-samawati wal ard, the originator of the heavens and the earth. And notice how he mentioned those 3 angels out of all of the other angels, because they have a certain status and a certain virtue with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the others don't. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala said, فَذَكَرَ هَؤُلَاءَ الثَّلَاثَ مِنَ الْمَلَائِكَةِ لِكَمَالِ اخْتِصَاصِهِمْ وَاصْطِفَائِهِمْ وَقُرْبِهِمْ مِنَ اللَّهِ جَلَّ وَعَلَى. That Ibn Qayyim said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned these 3 angels because of the kamal ikhtisasihim, because of their exclusivity and the specific deeds that they have that separate them and distinguish them from the other angels, and the fact that Allah has chosen them for those deeds, for those actions, and because of their closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even in our provision as human beings, our provision is not all the same. Some of us are rich, some of us are poor, some of us maintain the middle course. And that is by grand design, by divine design. That is not because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is oppressing you. Understand, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala withholds, He doesn't withhold out of stinginess. Allah withholds out of mercy for you. Right? Bani Israel, they say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hands is maghlula, are closed. They say God is stingy. When God doesn't give to us, as an indication He's stingy. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala retorted, and He said, غُلَّتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَلُعِنُوا بِمَا قَالُوا بَلْ يَدَاهُ مَبْسُوطَتَانِ يُنْفِقُ كَيْفَ يَشَاءُ. May their hands be closed, and may they be cursed for what they say. Rather, Allah's hands are extended, both of them, and He spins on His creation however He sees fit, subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we're not all the same, even as it relates to our provision. As human beings, our provision varies based upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wisdom, not based upon our sin or our obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah says in the Quran, وَاللَّهُ فَضَّلَ بَعْضَكُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ فِي الرِّزْقِ فَمَا الَّذِينَ فُضِّلُوا بِرَادِّ رِزْقِهِمْ عَلَى مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُهُمْ فَهُمْ فِيهِ سَوَاءٌ أَفَبِنِعْمَةِ اللَّهِ يَجْحَدُونَ. Allah says in the Quran that Allah is the one who has favored some of you over others, bil-rizq, with His provision. That's Allah's doing. That's by divine design. He said, and those from amongst you who have been favored with bounty, with provision, are not going to give those whom their right hands possess, not going to give their slave servants a share of their money so they can be equal. Right? So just as you would not make a slave or servant of yours equal with you by giving them a share of your money, then why would you make another creature equal with God? You understand? SubhanAllah, the Quran is so beautiful. Allah is telling us metaphorically, how could you attribute to God a son or a partner or an equal when you yourself as a human being would not make someone less than you an equal with you? أَفَبِنِعْمَةِ اللَّهِ يَجْحَدُونَ. And is it the bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they deny, that they refuse to recognize? So this is a concept in our religion. And that is, how can you expect someone to accept something less than you would be willing to accept? That's a concept in our religion. Sometimes we say, oh, I'm going to give something to the poor, to the homeless, right? And we go through our closet and we choose the worst sneakers, the holiest sneakers we can find, and we say, I'm going to give this away, sadaqah. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Would you accept that if it was you on the receiving end of that? Why would you expect someone to accept less than what you would be willing to accept yourself? You guys follow me? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after we've seen the differentiation between all of these different things, the Quran, likewise, has a very unique place in our religion. A unique place amid the other religious books that came before it, solidifying its exclusivity. The Quran is not like any other book. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ بِالْحَقِّ مُصَدِّقًا لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ مِنَ الْكِتَابِ وَمُهَيْمِنًا عَلَيْهِ فَاحْكُمْ بَيْنَهُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and Allah has revealed to you a book, and we have indeed revealed to you a book, بِالْحَقِّ, in truth, مُصَدِّقًا لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ, confirming the kutub al-mutaqaddima, confirming the books that came before it. وَمُهَيْمِنًا عَلَيْهِ, مُهَيْمِنًا عَلَيْهِ, حَاكِمًا عَلَى الْكُتُبِ الْمُتَقَدِّمَةِ, that the Quran is the judge over all of the other revelations, over all of the other books. So the Quran has a special place, a very unique place in our religion, and a very unique place amid the other books that came before. Even between men and women, there's a distinction. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَلَيْسَ الذَّكَرَ كَالْأُنْثَى, and the male is not like the female. Men and women are different. And so while today you have many Muslim women, feminists, who argue on behalf of gender equality on every single level in the human experience, you don't understand that by making genders equal, you are dismissing that which makes us different. We weren't meant to be the same on every level. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not create women to do the exact same thing that men can do. Rather, He created women to do things that men can't do, and vice versa. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَيْسَ الذَّكَرَ كَالْأُنْثَى, and the male is not like the female. Each one has its own particular place that is specific for it. It doesn't mean that one is more authoritative and another is more subordinate. What it means is that each one has their own place that is specific to it. Even amongst those who have knowledge, they're not all the same. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. إنما يتذكر أولو الألباب. That are they equal, those who know to those who don't know? They're not on the same level. Someone who has studied Islam, spent years of his life studying the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, spending hours, days, months, years at the feet of people of knowledge, recognized scholars, is not like someone who is self-taught, who sat in the home of his house, in a room in his house, teaching himself Arabic, teaching himself other bits and pieces of Islam. They are not on the same level. That's not to say that one is not good or one is better than the other, but it means that they are not on the same level. Even as it relates to our iman, although we're all believers and we're all dear to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the stronger believer is better to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the weak believer. We are not all on the same level. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, المؤمن القوي خير وأحب إلى الله من المؤمن الضعيف وفي كل خير. That the strong believer is better. So when we get this idea, oh, you think you're better than me? No, I don't think that I'm better than you. But in our religion, there is a distinction between those who pray and those who don't pray. Those of our women who observe the hijab and those who don't observe the hijab. Those who are obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and those who spend their lives doing them. They're not all the same. That the strong believer is better and more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the weak believer. But in both of them, it's good. It's not to discredit the weak believer. There's good in him, but he is not on the same level as a strong believer. So, the same applies to the days of the week. Jumu'ah being the best of the days of the week. It is the Eid al-Usbu'. It is the Eid of the week. The nights in our religion, there are nights that are better than other nights. Like Layal al-Ashr, like the last 10 nights of Ramadan are the best nights out of all of the nights in the year. Then there are the days. And of course the days of Dhul Hijjah. The first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah is better than any other days within the year. The Prophet ﷺ said there are no days that righteous deeds done in those days are more beloved to Allah than the first days of Dhul Hijjah. And of course there's a night that is better than all of the nights, and that is Laylatul Qadr. So I think after all of mentioning all of that, you guys kind of get the point. And that there are distinctions between things within Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creatures and creation. And there's no doubt that the month of Ramadan has its virtue. Beyond the fact that we fast in it, the month of Ramadan is not like any other month. Therefore, we should not treat Ramadan like every other month. On the authority of Wathila ibn Asqa', أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: أنزلت صحف إبراهيم في أول ليلة من رمضان، وأنزلت التوراة ل6 مضت الماضين من رمضان، والإنجيل ل13 خلت من رمضان، وأنزل القرآن ل24 خلت من رمضان. رواه أحمد وحسنه الألباني. The Prophet ﷺ, he said that the Suhuf of Ibrahim, they were revealed in the first night of Ramadan. The Suhuf of Ibrahim, they were revealed in the first night of Ramadan. And the Torah given to Musa was revealed 6 days into the month of Ramadan. And the Injil given to Isa was revealed 13 days into the month of Ramadan. And the Quran was revealed 24 days into the month of Ramadan. This hadith was collected in the Musnad Imam Ahmad, and it was graded as Hasan by Shaykh al-Albani. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, he said, أنزل القرآن جملة واحدة في ليلة القدر إلى السماء الدنيا، وكان مواقع النجوم وكان الله سبحانه وتعالى ينزله على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بعضه في أثر بعض. انتهى كلامه رحمه الله تعالى. Ibn Abbas just showing you how the Quran went from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the book form that we have today. The whole formula, the process, so that we can understand how magnificent this month is and why this month, out of all of the other months in the year, was selected for us to fast in this month. Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make fasting in Safar or in Rajab or any other of the sacred months? Ramadan is not even one of the 4 sacred months on the Hijri calendar. Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala select the month of Ramadan for us to fast in that month? Ibn Abbas, he said that the Quran was revealed all at once, Jumlatul Wahida fi Laylatul Qadr, on the night of power, Laylatul Qadr. It was revealed all in one night, Laylatul Qadr. And it was revealed to Sama'id Dunya, from the Lawh al-Mahfuz to the lowest heaven. وكان الله سبحانه وتعالى ينزله على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بعده في أثر بعض. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would reveal from the lowest heaven to the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم one verse after another based upon the circumstantial dictates. Based upon the circumstances that dictated or that necessitated the revelation of another verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةٍ مُبَارَكَةٍ إِنَّا كُنَّا مُنذِرِينَ فِيهَا يُفْرَقُ كُلَّ أَمْرٍ حَكِيمٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that indeed we have revealed it, meaning the Quran, فِي لَيْلَةٍ مُبَارَكَةٍ, in one blessed night. We revealed the whole Quran in one night. A blessed night, Laylatul Mubarak. Inna kunna mundirin, and we are warners. Fiha yufraqu kullu amrin hakim, and in this book details every wise matter. Meaning everything that is in the Quran, there's hikmah, wisdom in every single verse. While you have Muslims today who say that they don't understand this, so therefore it should be removed from the Quran. You have Muslim intellectuals today who believe that verses in the Quran are antiquated, it was for another time, and we don't necessarily need it right now, it should be removed from the Quran. MashaAllah ta'ala. Allah says that this Quran, it details kullu amrin hakim, every wise matter, every wise affair that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed for His servants. You will find a verse in the Quran that will explain it for you. We have not left out anything in this Quran. Allah says in another ayah, إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةِ الْقَدْرِ. And this is how one part of the Quran explains another part of the Quran. The first ayah, Allah said what? That we revealed it, Laylatul Mubarakah. He didn't say which night, He just said a blessed night. And then another verse He says, إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةِ الْقَدْرِ. Indeed, we have revealed it in Laylatul Qadr. So this is an example of how one part of the Quran explains the ambiguity in another part of the Quran. So you can see that aside from fasting in this month, it is virtuous for other reasons, which is that the Quran was revealed in this month. And the night it was revealed in is better than 1,000 months, which is equivalent to 83 years and 6 months and some days. This one night, right? This one night, Laylatul Qadr, خَيْرٌ مِنْ أَلْفِ شَهْرٍ. As Allah says, it is better than 1,000 months. 1,000 months is equivalent to 83 years and a few months. Worship in this one night will exceed most of our lifespans. Worship in this one night will exceed most of our lifespans. The Prophet ﷺ said, أعمار أمتي بين السبعين ستين والسبعين وقليل من يجاوز ذلك. He said, the average age of my ummah is between 60 and 70 years old, and there's only a few whose lives will go beyond that. The average age of a Muslim is between 60 to 70 years old. And there's only a few that their lives will exceed that. So Laylatul Qadr has its virtue because of the Quran. So we seek the blessing that is in that night, and we seek the blessing that is in the month of Ramadan, and its virtue because of the Quran being revealed in it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in another ayah, شَهْرُ رَمَضَانَ الَّذِي أُنزِلَ فِيهِ الْقُرْآنِ, that the month of Ramadan is the month in which the Quran was revealed. هُدًى لِلنَّاسِ وَبَيِّنَاتٍ مِنَ الْهُدَى وَالْفُرْقَانِ, a guidance for mankind. Notice the Quran is a guidance for all of mankind, not just for Muslims. هُدًى لِلنَّاسِ, a guidance for all of mankind. وَبَيِّنَاتٍ مِنَ الْهُدَى, and an explanation, clarification, elucidation of these ayats, of the guidance, وَالْفُرْقَانِ, and a clear distinction between truth and falsehood. فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ, and whoever from amongst you is alive and witnesses the month of Ramadan, to let him fast in that month. So essentially, we fast in the month of Ramadan as a means of gratitude to Allah for revealing the Quran in the month of Ramadan. You guys, you follow me? So the question, why the month of Ramadan? Because this is the month in which the Quran was revealed. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala selected this month and commanded the believers to fast in this month as an honor and respect for the Quran that was revealed in this month. So if you didn't know before why we fast in the month of Ramadan specifically, now you know. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealing the Quran in this month, and it's the greatest miracle out of all miracles given to any of the prophets and messengers. And this is not something amazing, because we use fasting as a form of showing gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for other things. On Mondays and Thursdays, right? The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لما سئل عن صيام الاثنين, when he was asked about fasting on Mondays, he said, فيه ولدت وفيه أنزل علي. رواه Muslim. When the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was asked, why did he fast on Mondays? He said, because this is the day that I was born. I was born on a Monday. Right? For all of the Muslim children who like to turn up on their birthday, right? This is the time when we smoke, drink, we get lit, turned up on your birthday, because it's your birthday. Here's the Prophet ﷺ fasting on a Monday out of honoring Allah, showing his love and appreciation and gratitude to Allah for being born on this day, while we drink, smoke, party, and engage in other haram acts because it's our birthday. It just shows you where his thinking was. You understand? His was one of gratitude. The fact that this was the day that I was born on, while ours is one of, a place of privilege. I was born on this day, so I should be able to have a free pass to do whatever I want to do on this day. And 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 24 hours of pleasure will be nowhere near in comparison to the amount of time that you will spend in the hellfire for that short amount of time that you enjoyed. The Prophet ﷺ said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take a man who had known nothing but luxury in this life. From the moment that he was born to the moment that he died, he has known nothing but luxury, opulence in this world. And Allah will take him and just dip him in the hellfire. Just a dip. And pull him out, and will ask him, have you ever known any good? And the man will say, by Allah, I swear to God, I have never had one good day in my life. That one little moment in the hellfire is enough to make him forget an entire lifetime of luxury and opulence. That's just a dip in the hellfire. How long will we remain in the hellfire for the 24 hours we got turned up, we got lit, right, on our birthday? MashaAllah. The Prophet ﷺ, when he was asked why did he fast on Mondays, he said, because this was the day that I was born. وَفِيهِ أُنزِلَ عَلَيَّ, and this was the day in which the Quran was revealed to me. The Quran came down to me on a Monday. So to honor that Monday, I fast on that day. So fasting, as you can see the pattern here, fasting is used as a means of showing gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In another hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, تُعْرَضُ الْأَعْمَالُ يَوْمَ الْإِثْنَيْنِ وَالْخَمِيسِ فَأُحِبُّ أَنْ يُعْرَضْ عَمَلِي عَلَى رَبِّي وَأَنَا الصَّائِمُ. He said that deeds are taken up to Allah on Mondays and Thursdays. يوم الاثنين ويوم الخميس. He said, and I love for my deeds to go up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while I'm fasting. Here again, fasting being used as a sign of gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On the day of Ashura, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, when he came to Medina, or Ibn Abbas, he said, قدم النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم المدينة فرأى اليهود تصوم يوم عاشوراء فقال ما هذا؟ قالوا هذا يوم صالح هذا اليوم نجى الله سبحانه وتعالى بني إسرائيل من عدوهم فصامه موسى فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فأنا أحق بموسى منكم فأمر المسلمين أن يصوموا هذا اليوم. Subhanallah. The Prophet ﷺ, when he entered into Medina, he noticed the Jews in Medina fasting the day of Ashura. And he asked them, he said, why are you all fasting on this particular day? So some of the Jews said that this is the day that Allah gave victory to Bani Israel, to the Jews, over Fir'aun, over their enemy. And so Musa used to fast on this day as a sign of gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gaining control, right? As Muslims, we relinquish control. We say, oh, you're following the kuffar, or you're following the non-Muslims in this particular practice or that practice, when aslan, originally, they got it from Islam. That's how ignorant we are of Islam. We'll attribute something to, following, to shabdah bil kuffar, following or imitating the kuffar. Wa aslul amal min indina nahnu. And the origin of the action is from Islam. But we're so ignorant of Islam, the moment we see non-Muslims doing something, immediately we attribute the deed to them. Instead of looking at our religion and saying, no, wait a minute, that came from us. That came from Islam. Da Vinci said that if I knew that there was a such thing as Islamic calligraphy, I would have never drawn anything. Or was it Picasso? I would have never drawn anything. You see Islamic calligraphy? Subhanallah al-Azim. He said that if I would have known about Islamic calligraphy, I would have never drawn one picture. But yet we'll marvel at the drawings of, Picasso and the Da Vinci and all of these other artists. When you look at Islamic calligraphy, it's like it's nothing. It means absolutely nothing. It's part of our religion, part of our tradition. But we're so quick to attribute something to non-Muslims when we see them doing something, instead of looking into our heritage, looking into the treasure that has been left behind, generation after generation, preserved. And now we have another generation of Muslims today who don't even know the significance of much of what is in our religion. You have non-Muslims today who fast intermittently. People who are into, working out, exercising. They fast every other day now. That's part of our religion. The best of fasting was the fast of Prophet Dawood, which was to fast every other day. And here today you have non-Muslims who have now adopted this to help build, to help cleanse the body. And here you have Muslims, mashallah, tabarakallah, walking around with stomachs out to here. No pun intended. Just stating the reality, stating the facts. You have Muslims, including scholars, people of knowledge, who have stomachs out to here, who only fast in Ramadan. And you have non-Muslims who are into athleticism, working out and exercising, who fast every other day. And that's part of our religion. And we'll look at that and we'll say, wow, maybe I should start this regimen, this exercise regimen of, eating, less intake of meat, right? The Prophet ﷺ, Aisha said that there would be months that would go by and the only thing he would survive off of was dates and water. Eswadan, dates and water. While today you have people who go on these vegetable diets. It's part of Islam. What part of that you don't understand? But we'll look at that and we'll say, wow, look at that regimen. I need to lose weight, so I'm going to go and I'm adopt this regimen, not realizing that that's part of your religion. But we're so ignorant to Islam that the moment we see something that looks enticing, the moment we see something that looks amazing and remarkable, a phenomenon, we automatically attribute it to them, instead of realizing that it's actually a part of our religion. So when the Prophet ﷺ asked them, why are they fasting the day of Ashura? They said, because this is the day that Allah gave victory to Musa and Bani Israel over their enemy. The Prophet ﷺ reclaimed that tradition. He said, Ana ahaqqu bi Musa minkum. I am more deserving to be a follower of Musa than you will ever be. I follow Musa more than you would ever follow him. You have Christians who say, oh, you got Jesus, believe in Jesus. I believe in Jesus way more than you would ever believe in him. I believe in him correctly. The first words that came out of Jesus' mouth was, Inni Abdullah. Atani al-kitab wa ja'alani nabiyyan. Wa ja'alani mubarakan aynama kuntu wa awsani bis salati wa zakati ma dumtu hayya. Wa barran bi walidati wa lam yaj'alni jabbaran shaqiyyan. First words that came out of Jesus' mouth was, indeed, I am a slave to God. Those were his first words. So the next time as a Christian you ask me, do I believe in Jesus? You ought to be ashamed for even asking me a question like that. I probably believe in Jesus and I probably emulate and imitate Jesus' lifestyle more than you could ever imagine. The Prophet ﷺ reclaimed Islamic tradition. He said, I am more deserving of Musa, of Prophet Moses, than you are. And he commanded the believers to fast the day of Ashura. So as you can see, example after example after example, how fasting is used to show gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And here we are in the month of Ramadan, fasting an entire month to show reverence for the fact that the Quran was revealed in this month. And I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to grasp and understand this and to learn how to revere, respect, and honor the month of Ramadan because of what was given to us in it. هذا وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا وسبحانك ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Please don't move from your spaces, inshallah. The food will be ready in about 10 minutes or so. But we wanted to take this opportunity, these 10 minutes. We have a special guest. He's a friend of Imam Shadeed Muhammad. Is Imam Ali Davis, coming to you from all the way from Philadelphia, New Jersey. Heavily involved in da'wah, learned under some of the best scholars in Mecca. And we are humbled that he has visited us today. That we can, we apologize for only giving him 10 minutes, but inshallah this will be the start of many visits from Imam Ali Davis. So please, without further ado, barakallahu feekum.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا. اللهم زدنا علما إنك أنت عليم الحكيم. اللهم اجعل هذه الكلمة حجة لنا لا حجة علينا يا رب العالمين. أما بعد. I first advise myself and my brothers and sisters here tonight to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is my first time in this masjid inside this community. I was invited up, mashallah. It's a very beautiful place, mashallah, tabarakallah. However, I wanted to talk very briefly about Qiyam al-Layl, Qiyam al-Layl. We all know that the month of Ramadan is fastly approaching. And this is something that many people may struggle with, and that is getting up during the last part of the night and praying. So inshallah ta'ala, I wanted to mention some brief statements from some of the earlier scholars of Islam with regards to their condition during the night prayer. And so we have a statement from Imam al-Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah ta'ala, where he said, لم أجد شيئا من العبادة أشد من الصلاة في جوف الليل. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Imam Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah, he said, I didn't find anything more difficult during that time than for ibadah than to get up in the last part of the night. Now, if this is coming from Imam Hasan al-Basri, who was the Imam in Islam, فَمَاذَا لَنَحْنُ? What about us? What about us? So, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to mention some statements from one of the Imams of the past that will, inshallah ta'ala, help us to get up in the last night or the last part of the evening for prayer. So we have some statements from Imam al-Ghazali, rahimahullah ta'ala, with regards to getting up during the last part of the night. He said that he had 4 reasons. There are 4 things that a person can do that will aid them and assist them in getting up during the last part of the night. And so we're going to mention them briefly, inshallah ta'ala. Number 1, he says, أَلَا يُكَثِّرُ الْأَكْلِ. Do not eat too much. When we're fasting in Ramadan and it's time for iftar, do not eat too much. And he said, drink a lot. Drink a lot. If a person eats too much while they're fasting, it will be difficult for you to get up and pray, because the food will weigh heavy on the body. And then he says, وَلَا أَلَّا يَطْعَمْ نَفْسَهُ بِالنَّهَارِ لِمَا لَا فَائِدَ فِيهِ. And do not busy yourselves with things during the daytime that will cause you difficulty. Things that are no benefit. Sometimes, as we find in Ramadan and in the other months, people will talk aimlessly with no aim and no direction, no benefit. La fa'ida fi kalam. Wasting our time. And then he also mentioned, again, this issue of wasting your time. He says, Allah yatruk al-qaylula. If you have the ability to take a small nap throughout the course of the day, if you're fasting, when we fast in Ramadan, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you the ability to take a small nap, take advantage of that opportunity. Because the nap that you take will give you strength later in the night to pray. And then he mentions, do not wear things that are heavy throughout the course of the day. Maybe you have problems throughout the course of the day and you hold on to them all day. Some of these things will prevent you from being able to stand up and pray. Now, I just wanted to mention that briefly. And I also wanted to mention, and usually when I'm around Brother Shadiq, it always reminds me of when we were in Mecca many years ago, maybe in 2006, I believe. 2006, my first year at Qura was around 2005. And in 2006, it was during Ramadan and we were in the Haram in Mecca praying. And he was standing with me. And I said to him, when am I going to be able to understand the Quran? Remember that? When am I going to be able to understand the Quran? And he said to me, before you know it, by the time you finish school, you'll be able to understand and you'll be telling someone else that. And at the time I didn't believe it. I just said, I'm just going to keep pushing. And maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give me the ability to understand Arabic so I can understand the Quran. And by the time I graduated, there was another student that came after me. And I said the same thing that he told me, I said to him. Before you know it, your time will come and you will understand the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and understand what's going on. And it's ironic because we're in Ramadan. Ramadan is next week, inshallah. And I'm here with the brother, mashallah, tabarakallah again. And we're talking about this issue. Brothers and sisters in Islam, take advantage of prayer. Take advantage while we have our strength. Because there are people that are not able to stand in prayer and they wish that they could. The fact that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to stand in qiyam, to stand for the night prayer, take advantage of that opportunity. Some of the scholars in the past, when Ramadan was over, they would pray 6 months after Ramadan, praying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted their fast in Ramadan. And then after that 6 months passed, they will make dua for another 6 months, that Allah will allow them to see another Ramadan. That shows the importance. This month of Ramadan, brothers and sisters, is a serious opportunity for us. It's a serious, tremendous opportunity for us. During the month of Ramadan, there is a night during the month of Ramadan that is better than 1,000 months. 1,000 months, brothers and sisters, that's approximately 84 years. Many of us in this room, as the Sheikh mentioned before, the lifespan of a Muslim is 60 years. The lifespan of a Muslim is 60 years. Of those 60 years, how many years did we spend in worship? How many years of those 60 years, if Allah allows us to live to see 60, of those 60 years, how many years did we actually spend in worship? Better yet, of those 60 years, how many years did we spend sleeping? If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to stand in a night of prayer on Laylatul Qadr, this night alone is better than 84 years of worship. 84 years of worship. No sleep associated with it. No disobedience associated with it. No backbiting associated with it. No sin associated with it. 84 years of straight worship. 84 years and one night. It's something for every last Muslim to be mindful of and to think about. What if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala waffaqana, gives us tawfiq so that we can stand during that night in prayer and be able to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during that time? Can we imagine the benefit and the reward that we will get from it? So this is a reminder for myself. As they say, when you get ready to start a car in a race, start your engines. As they say, it's on. Ramadan, inshallah, is next week. Prepare yourselves, because it's on. And we have to look at ourselves and get ready, motivate one another. I don't know if any of you guys play sports. When you're ready to play a basketball game, you get your team hyped before the game. Everybody's giving everyone a pep talk. Right now, we have to get that pep talk for Ramadan. Get ourselves ready. Exercise. Whatever we need to do to ensure that we're going to be able to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's what we need to do. At any event, I'm going to stop with that. If anyone has any questions for me, I'm available. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. جزاكم الله خير.
Barakallahu feek to Shaykhan. May Allah reward them, bless them, preserve them for all the information that they've given us tonight. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be of those people who will take what we listen and we act upon it. But dear brothers and sisters, before we take you to the food, we have a few announcements. Ramadan, inshallah, on Tuesday, we will cite the moon, Sheikh Ala, and who refer to the Amjad, the American Muslim Jurist of America, where they'll make the announcement for us. So Ramadan might be Wednesday or Thursday. We will know Tuesday. Once Ramadan starts, inshallah, we have our reciter Hamza, who will lead us in the Taraweeh prayers. We'll have a guest Imam every day to give us some beneficial talks in the middle of Taraweeh, as we usually do. And we will try to end Bismillah 11:30 maximum on the weekdays. So that way we keep it consistent for you. And just a few days before Ramadan begins, we're going to give you a schedule of the khatibs of the month and also the guest speakers for the month. So stay tuned to that a few days before Ramadan. And don't forget, tomorrow is going to be the last day of our pre-Ramadan program. After Zuhr prayer, we'll have roses that we give to the neighbors, welcoming them and telling them, welcome Ramadan. The sisters are arranging that, so anybody who wants to partake, after Zuhr, inshallah, we'll be doing that. And then between Maghrib and Isha tomorrow, we'll have the question and answer session with Sheikh Ala Sa'dawi, touching about the fiqh of Ramadan and other questions that you may have before you begin the blessed month of Ramadan. Barakallahu feekum. We hope you enjoy the food. May Allah put barakah in it. So you're more than welcome, inshallah.
I think it should.